We're live. Welcome to yet another edition of our PCS Q&A. I'm your host, MJ Boyce, the Director of Community Outreach here at PCS Grades. Boom, boom, boom. Oh my gosh, we've got a fantastic show for you today. We've got Sally Houston is actually joining us, our Director of Marketing here at PCS Grades, and along with our fantastic guest from Sandboxx, we got Nicole Utt. And before we get to those two lovely ladies, we're going to go ahead and run through those housekeeping items really quick as we do every week. Ready, set, here we go. All right, people, we've got the answers. And if we don't have those answers, guess what? We know who does. But if we don't know either of those things in the moment, we're going to take your questions for action and get back to you with an answer. Speaking of questions, comments, concerns, suggestions, shout outs, go ahead and drop those in the comments section, y'all. The more love you give us, the more feedback we receive, the more engaged you are the more chances to win. And today we're giving away 4 $50 exchange gift cards. That's right. Not 1, not 2, not even 3, but 4 $50 exchange gift cards. And if you're really engaged, you might just end up with a t-shirt. TBD. All right. So questions, comments, concerns, shout outs, suggestions, LOL smiley faces, while totally encouraged, don't count as an entry to win, people. All right. We bring you the experts like the U.S. Transportation Command, which will be on with us on December 8th, by the way. So mark your calendars now. U.S. Transportation Command to military spouse employment advocates to industry moving professionals and military connected student experts. We bring these experts to you because they're the source. But sometimes you're going to run into an issue that's specific to you and your military family. And in those instances, your 2 forever and always resources will be, number 1, your local chain of command. Number 2, your local transportation office. Those are the people who know you. Those are the people who are dealing with your stuff. Those are the people who can take your issues and further them for action. Of course, you've always got PCS Grades at the helm, where you can come and research your upcoming move and read or leave reviews about on-base housing, off-base housing, movers, schools, and so much more. And the best part is these reviews are left by fellow military and veteran families, basically us. So head on over to PCSgrades.com, but wait until we're done today because we got a great show for you. Last and certainly not least, let's keep doing our part, people. I say it every week. We got to keep doing our part. Things are going to fluctuate. Things are going to change. When it comes to Murphy and COVID, we don't want to mess around with it. So make sure that you know what's going on in your local area. Make sure that you know the status of the place that you're moving to. We got to be vigilant because when we flatten that curve, guess what? We flatten Murphy with it. Do you hear us, Murphy? We are coming for you. And just a side note to that, separate from that, I totally forgot to say that because it wouldn't be a Wednesday if MJ forgot something or was on mute. We still have our nonprofit Give Back campaign going down. Our girl Teresa on the back end is going to drop that link. So basically, for every review that you leave between now and Giving Tuesday, which is November 30th, we will donate $5 to the military or veteran nonprofit of your choice. So head on over to PCSgrades.com at the link that Teresa's about to drop and leave your review and choose that military or veteran nonprofit so that they can continue their missions on behalf of us. You take 5 minutes, we give $5 each, y'all, each. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Sally to introduce our special guest. Sally?
We are so excited to have Nicole with us today. She is the daughter of a Marine. She is now the wife of a Marine. She is also the director of branding creative at Sandboxx, which is a really fancy way of saying she's the reason all of the Sandboxx media that you see is just beautiful and super well done. And she's also just someone who's really fun to talk to. So we're really excited to have her on here today. Nicole, I'm going to turn it over to you so you can share a little bit more about yourself.
Hi, thank you guys so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. A little bit about me. Like Sally said, I'm the daughter of a Marine, so I grew up with such a huge pride for our U.S. military. And that kind of fortunately for me, stemmed into an amazing career, but also just with my love of my life, my husband. We met in college, and he decided he wanted to join the Marine Corps and thought that would chase me away, but it actually excited me. So he went off to OCS, and while he was away, we were writing letters, and I came across this app called Sandboxx and used it to send a letter to him. I was frantically trying to send him as many letters as I could, and like many of us have experienced, I wasn't hearing back from him, so I was convinced that he either didn't love me anymore or he wasn't getting my letters. So I used Sandboxx to get a letter to him quickly, and I just fell in love with the product. So after he graduated from training, I actually ended up reaching out to them and asked if they had any available positions. I was currently living in Colorado. I really wanted to move to the East Coast so that I could be with my at the time boyfriend, now husband. And fortunately for me, they needed someone in marketing, and I've now been with a team for about 4.5 years and just have had such an incredible opportunity continuing to work with the military sort of throughout my military journey and just help so many more families and friends who went through the exact same thing that I did. And that's a little bit about me. But yeah, I'm so happy to be here.
Okay, so we're just going to pause for a second, everybody, because I was not briefed on the fact that I had a fellow Marine spouse in the house. Okay, hoorah, yucko supper pie all day, sister. Oh my gosh, and you've got it twofold as a Marine brat, which I can appreciate because I got two of them, and also as a Marine spouse, again, hoorah. But number two, I really love that you kind of put out there that you thought, like, when you weren't hearing a response from your husband, you thought he didn't love you or thought some type of way, or what did I do, right? So let me just give you a quick back brief, because it's a family business. The military is a family business. We are proof of that. My daughter decided that military spouse life looked so cool that she decided to join our club this year, okay? So she married herself an airman. We'll forgive her for that part. But she also decided to make me a Mimi. She promoted me to Mimi, because we don't use the G word here, people. And so we now have a Mill Kid 2.0, and they are experiencing their first deployment right out the gate, because you know how our world works, right? So yeah. I can fully appreciate the very first thing that I told her when he left was, listen to me. I don't know if you guys talked about the communication schedule, but there are going to be times where he can't talk, and it's not you. Unless you really messed up and you know it, it's not you. And so I really appreciate that acknowledgement, and letters do actually make a difference, which we are definitely going to dive into here in a second. So let's kick it off. All right. Question number 1. Bottom line, you talked a little bit about why you were so excited to be with Sandboxx. What is Sandboxx, and why was it even founded?
Such a great question, and it's one of my favorite questions to answer. So Sandboxx was founded by 2 Marine veterans, so another hoorah. So the whole concept behind it was the 2 of them, General Ray Smith and then Sam Meek, they both understood the value of letters and that connection that you have throughout your entire career, from basic training all the way until really you retire. And there used to be a product called Moto Mail, which is kind of where the idea for Sandboxx originated. So Moto Mail kind of went away, and the 2 of them sort of happened to connect and kind of wanted to revive or bring back that idea around Moto Mail. And so Sandboxx was formed. And so over the years, we've really evolved the process from more of not just writing letters, but really giving people the opportunity to become the support system that they need to be for their service member, because I personally believe that our service members can't do their mission without the support from their families. So I think what we do a really good job of is not only giving families the opportunity to connect to their loved one, but really help them become exactly what their service member needs in terms of support and motivation throughout their whole training.
Which, by the way, I really love that you put it that way, because family readiness equals mission readiness. And in the Marine Corps, girl, you understand this part, and I'm making it purple. Born into, sworn into, and married into is the family, okay? It doesn't matter if my daughter is married to the military. It doesn't matter if I'm married into the military. My parents, his parents, they matter. They are part of that mission readiness, because if something's going back down on the home front, you think they're concentrating on the mission?
Exactly. Yep.
Well, and so, you know, I think one of the things I didn't understand at first when I came across Sandboxx, like, why use Sandboxx instead of just going to the post office and mailing your own letter?
Yes, so such a good question. So with Sandboxx, we've essentially digitized the entire letter writing process. So we are all so attached to our phones these days, which is one of the hardest parts for recruits when they get to basic training, is they don't get that cell phone anymore, and they're so lost. So essentially our app, you write a text message, or you can use our desktop app, and it's essentially like writing an email. You write your letter, you can include a photo. So everyone always loves photos from home, whether at basic training or deployed. That's always such a great thing. And then you hit send, and in our headquarters office, we print the entire letter. I thought I had some on hand.
They're so well done. They're so well done. And also, I'm just loving this dagger behind you. Yes.
My heart. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the letters are printed, and they're in these amazing airmail envelopes that we all know what that means. It's Happy Mail. But essentially what we do is we print out your letter on actual pieces of paper. And then your photo is included. It's a color photo, which is great. Recruits love these. They always put them in their drawers, or, you know, their little lockers that they get. And then what's so unique about Sandboxx is we include blank return stationery and a pre-addressed return envelope, so that they can quickly write back to you. Whether, you know, when you're in basic training, you don't always have time to run to the exchange, because you know, writing mail is not your mission during training. So it's so great that we can, again, include everything that's needed for them to continue to get that report and or receive that support and motivation from back home. So that's kind of the difference between Sandboxx and snail mail. And then additionally, with basic training letters, we overnight them to the base. So there's a lot less downtime. And the great thing about overnighting them is you can track the letter. So you can see exactly when your letter arrives to the base, which when I was writing letters, again, you go through that period of, did my letter even get there? Did I put the right address on it? So that's another great thing that I love about what we do, is we just take so much stress out of the process of writing letters, so that families and friends can really just support their service member. And that's just the entire focus, is just support and motivate. It's really great.
You know, I'm really wishing that this was part of, so I'm sorry, I'm gonna date myself, people. I had a different method. We literally had no choice but snail mail. So here I am, I'm like 18, and my husband's 18, and he goes to boot camp. Well, I'm not the best at writing. So what I would do is I would write something every day, but I would only send it like once a week, because I had a newborn kid, so I had to like hit it and quit it. You know what I mean? I couldn't do that. And something he told me when I went to pick him up from boot camp was like, he would see people get mail every day, and it hurt his heart a little bit. And I felt so freaking bad about that. I still feel bad about that. So this would have been very, very handy then. But one of the things that I did was I made sure that my daughter knew, look, this happened to me. This is what I did to dad. Dad felt really bad about it. Please don't do that to your husband. Please. Like, just like, it could be like, hi, it could be like, whatevs. Hey, your son took a crap today. Yay. Like, it could be anything. but send him something, because that's something that they hang on to. If I would have known about this enough for my daughter to see her husband through camp, I would have been like, yeah, it's easier. But, we don't have time sometimes. If all I had to do was, come on.
Well, and I think, hopefully the letters include more, than the babies,
Well,
that day. But no, I guess with the little one too, that can be some pretty exciting news with the baby some days. But, it's letters, just letters when you're not going through basic training, right, are just such a nice surprise in the mail. Like, who doesn't love a handwritten letter? And there are some really amazing stories on your site about the letters people have sent. Can you share your favorite warm fuzzy one with the audience? And audience too, we would love to hear your warm fuzzy letter sharing stories too, if you want to put some out there. But
yes, I'd love to. Some of our Sandboxx user stories, as we like to call them, are my favorite, and it's really why I just love what we do at Sandboxx. My favorite one has to be, she was an Air Force wife, and her husband was at basic training, and it was about, she was pregnant, and he had left about halfway through her pregnancy. And they knew before he left that she was probably going to have complications, but they weren't sure. And, obviously they would use the Red Cross if they had to contact him eventually. Well, she ended up going into labor a lot earlier than she had anticipated because of some of those complications. And she ended up sending him a Sandboxx letter with a picture of their newborn. And so obviously he received the call from the Red Cross while he was at training, so he knew about it. But the first time he got to see a picture of his son was through a Sandboxx letter. And if you're a mom, especially if you're a military spouse that has had to do that on your own, it is such a hard thing. And to be able to, aside from it being a Sandboxx letter, for us to just have been able to provide him that opportunity has to be hands down one of my favorite stories.
Oh my God. Well,
I can't. This is 2 weeks in a row.
No.
Jenna, if you're watching, you're feeling me right now. We heard some very powerful stories from the Wreaths Across America guest that we had last week, and probably first time ever I ever broke character, if you will, where I had to be like, give me a second, I need a second. So just now you hit me right there in the feels, right? Okay, so it took because I'm not only looking at it from my lens, I'm looking at it through my daughter's lens, and then now my Mill Kid 2.0's lens, and I'm like a little bit, you got me feeling some type of way. Congratulations.
It's just the perfect example too of just the convenience. Like, you're in your hospital bed, right? After you have your baby, the last thing you want to do is be moving around and going to the post office and getting your Post-it, and you literally just send it straight from your phone and they get the beautiful, airmail envelope. That's so nice.
I love technology.
I know.
In this instance, I love technology.
Well, and it also is bringing back a memory, when my grandparents were communicating during World War II, they have all this mail, right? Like you go back to the mail and you reread the letters in a way you just also don't do on your phone. It's just so nice to have that tangible love in your hand,
Absolutely.
Awesome.
For sure. And actually, to be fair, we actually have a person on our team who is an extraordinaire when it comes to letters specifically. I know this sounds, it's a little, Lizanne Lightfoot, shout out girlfriend. She's our content editor here at PCS Grades. She wrote a book about it's open win. Open win. And it's not letters to our service, it's letters to ourselves as military spouses. Open when Murphy crawled straight up your rear end. Open when you're having a really hard day and you don't think you can do it. You know what I mean? There's so many aspects of that. Letters, even to oneself, is huge. Which actually kind of makes me think a little bit in terms of Sandboxx. All right, picture that. By the way, we're gonna drop the link to Lizanne's extraordinary book. Yes, but
We should even give one away. Let's just give one away today too.
okay, so people, there will be 5 prizes.
Yeah, okay, let's give one
4
away.
$50 exchange gift cards and 1 copy of Open When. And we'll do that in the Wheel of Names. So basically, bottom line, if you're not engaging, which I already see all of you are, go ahead and share this and get other people who you think need to have this in their lives, because stand by for some more. Because here's the thing. All right, right out of boot camp, families use this service to keep in touch with their brand new service member, right? So what happens next, right? Like, so what do you do after the service member completes their training? Why would I, as the parent or loved one of a, just graduated boot camp service member, come back to Sandboxx?
That's a great question, and it's one we get so often. So a lot of the times people just kind of think, oh, well, I'm only going to send letters during basic training. And while basic training is, the predominant time that you'll send letters, we also send letters to deployed service members. And so that's really when a lot of the supporters and family members start to re-engage with us, is a few years down the road when that first deployment happens. And the great thing about that, again, depending on what the deployment is, but when my husband was deployed, he was on a MU, and he didn't always have access to envelopes and stamps and everything. So the Sandboxx letters were actually really great because it did come with that envelope and stationery for him to write back. And we all know that mail during deployment can be slower, but again, all that matters is that you are sending something just to keep them supported and know that back home they're still loved and you're excited for when they eventually come home. So that's the main sort of time that a lot of family members come back. But what we're really working on is how can we continue to support the supporter, the military spouse, the military mom, throughout the rest of their service members' journey. So with that, we've really focused a lot on content. As everyone knows, you can never find the information that you need about anything that has to do with the military, or it takes 10 tabs in your Google search and you still haven't really got a clear answer on anything. So that kind of stemmed from, honestly, some of my hard times of trying to find information. And I talked with Sam and the team at Sandboxx, and I said, we really need to start giving people answers to these questions. Like, I have this question. I bet so many people have the same question as me. So we were like, okay, let's try and do that. And we started just building out our blog, which is now a media site. But we were just answering simple questions of what happens at your first duty station? Where do you check in at the gate to get your ID for your duty? Like, just the most simple answers or questions, but there's never a simple answer.
Mm-hmm.
So just starting to create content to help you confidently navigate everything that you're about to go through. And then if you're like my husband, I handle a lot of the logistics of life outside, like just the normal stuff. And he would be so mad at me if he heard me say that. But for the most part, I'm the one figuring out, okay, this is the day we're going to the DEER's office to get our ID. This is where we need to go for this. And so just creating that information, or, that content for other families so that they could be prepared and not, walking around base asking so many questions and feeling so silly, has just been such a great chance for us to continue to re-engage and really just continue to be that support system for our supporters, so that instead of trying to figure out where do I have to go for all these things, they already know that. And then once again, they can just focus on supporting their service member. And then that's really the main thing and the main goal for them.
And I think that's awesome. And I really just, the logistics piece. Okay, let's put that out there, people. The logistics piece. I mean, I don't know about most of you, but when my spouse PCS, every time we PCS, guess what MJ was doing? Chris, boo, if you're watching, love you. He was out the door playing in the dirt with his friends, is what I like to say, 2 days after we moved. So who's left with the stuff? So of course, if we're the primary person with the logistics, yeah, let's go ahead and do that. So the questions, the same questions that you ask, like other people are asking, just not going to lie, like I point my daughter to PCS grades all the time. And the reason I do that is because she's not going to listen to mom. She's got the resource living with her, for crying out loud. No, like she's not going to listen to me, but she's going to listen to other people who've gone through it. When she looks at the new duty station she could go to and looks at the housing reviews, she's going to listen to them because they live there. They live that life. We're going to listen to what each other has to say because we live each other's lives. That's a level of trust. So that content, to me, the ones that Sandboxx produces, shoot, for the one from that matter, what PCS grades produces, tells me that that's relevant, accurate, and timely because that's our life, right?
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, and I'm really glad you're bringing up the PCS piece, MJ, because so much of that PCS logistics is booking travel. And Nicole, I know y'all have got a booking travel feature on your app and on your site. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so we started travel primarily, we began with the basic training travel, so getting families to graduation. Again, that's such a confusing process. What airport do I fly into? What hotel should I stay at for this? There's just so many unknowns, and that extends into the service member life cycle. So travel is built around simplifying that process. This is the airport you need. These are the recommended hotels for this area, the ones that are close to base, or, the one that has a shuttle to the base. So really just trying to help simplify that process. And again, take your mind off of worrying about those things. So then you can focus on, everything else that you need. So travel is great. Service members can use it. Military families can use it. It's so simple and easy to book travel. We have a great support team. We do the travel with Priceline, so it's a great customer service experience if there are questions. And what we just really try to do is make this experience so catered to our military community. And that, I think, is what is so special about so much of what we do is we're not trying to just send generic information or help in a general way. We want to make it feel like we are holding your hand your entire military journey, because you should never have to feel overwhelmed or inundated with stuff like that, and truly supported the whole time. So we focus so much on how can we create these tools, letters, travel, content, and even more to just continue to help that mission readiness. It's so critical for our nation, for our service members to be able to focus on just their mission. So for us to be able to identify tools and products to kind of help, take off some of that added stress in other areas, it's just so rewarding.
You know what? And I'm glad. Okay, so when it comes to stress, there are big stressors and little stressors, right? I let all my little ones build up into one big fat one. And I know this might sound like a little one, but Caitlin, shout out, because I felt the same way in the past. She has a question. Do you guys have a card section, like a card section? She says, I suck at remembering family birthdays until right before. So that would be helpful outside of basic or deployment times. Is that something that you offer?
We do. So it's not direct. It is kind of through our app, but we do have an e-commerce site where we have cards for birthday, for graduation, for all of those. So yes, we do have cards, and we're hoping to continue to expand those for holiday cards and seasonal cards, because it is so hard to remember that stuff sometimes. So.
And you know what? I do have a follow-up to that literally just popped into my brain based on your answer and Caitlin's question. Shout out, Caitlin. Do you guys offer anything in reverse? And have you thought about that? So, for example, if I'm the deployed service member, if I'm the deployed service member and I need to get something to my family, is that maybe something that could potentially be thought about in the future?
Yep. So it is something we've talked about, especially in terms of getting deployed service members access to Sandboxx, so that the letters could get back here so much faster. It's not anything that we've kind of built out concretely, but it is something that we've absolutely been thinking about and trying to figure out the best way to go about that, because it is just as important for service members to be able to, get word back to their family as much as it is for people at home to get word to them.
Well, I think, look, I mean, to that point, Nicole, look at this, right? We hold on. Dustin, we love you. You're here every week. We love seeing you pop up. But yeah, that binder, I have the same thing, this binder of letters that mean so much. So, no, I think spot on.
For sure. And like, just for the record, Nicole, the audience that you see here, the audience that are, they're speaking to, I mean, we have a lot of great, Stacey Vance, I see you. You are all over the place, girl. I see all of this, and a lot of the ideas, a lot of the practical application when it pertains to like, whether it's letters or cards or whatever, communication in general, I suppose, can be found here. This is your test group. These are the people to follow up with, man. These people are rock stars because they're thinking ahead. You know what I mean? So shout out to our audience. You win today in MJ's book.
Absolutely.
I have to say, since you shouted out Stacey Vance, we're seeing the EFMP questions rolling in, and stay tuned because in January, February, we're going to be working with the fabulous partners and Promise on some of that work. So stay tuned. We see your questions. We hear you. Yeah.
We got your number. Okay. So let's say, Nicole, that MJ wanted to get involved with Sandboxx. So if, our audience, they always want to know more about how to get involved with whether it's the individual or the organization or their efforts. So how can our audience members get involved with Sandboxx? And also, part of that, I hear you're hiring.
We are hiring for so many positions right now. I think there's going to be a link shared with you guys. That is the best way. If you're currently looking for a job, we are, Sandboxx is a part of the Military Spouse Employment Partnership. So we absolutely love our military spouses. I work with so many incredible women and men, and it's just so amazing to have your community, work with your community, and give back to the community. Sandboxx is such a great place to work. So again, if you know anybody or you're looking for a job, take a look at our open positions. We have so many, at least 10 plus open jobs right now. So that's the first and probably best way to get involved with Sandboxx. But just like you mentioned, we're constantly thinking of how can we continue our mission. Our mission is to make the entire military ecosystem thrive and just be more mission ready. I love that you talked about this. These are the people that are our test group and to get ideas from. We have so many new things coming down the pipeline next year, especially for our service members. We're really looking to start seeing how can we start actively helping service members with their career and really just making sure that they have the most successful career and time while they're in active duty. And so just reaching out to us, sharing your ideas. We love to hear them. So many of our new features do come from users who just kind of say, I've been thinking about this, because sometimes we're so in our heads. And honestly, like I said, we're building this for the military community. So we love to hear what that community wants. And then just additionally, it's just, we have Sandboxx News, which is our media site. We're always posting great stories, whether they're resources, stories from Navy SEAL veterans that just kind of share their experience. A lot of great content on our media site. So if you just want to stay sort of engaged in the loop of what's going on, that's also a great place to subscribe to or just visit every once in a while. And really that's the best way. But yeah, just staying tuned for some of our new features that will be coming out next year. We're looking to do a lot of stuff, like I said, with the service member in their career. So it's exciting.
No, that is super exciting. Sally, would you mind looking and seeing if we missed any questions? Speaking of which, our girl Teresa on the back end, she's fixing to send me the names.
Gotta shout out Sandboxx. Awesome place to work. Some of the best people we've worked with. And I think that goes to, y'all are driven by the mission, right? Not the numbers in the same way. And so I just think, and that just aligns with so much of the work we do at PCS Grades, which is just why we love your organization. Charmaine, shout out Charmaine, also has an awesome PCS book. Sounds like an awesome one-stop shop. It is so easy to use, even when you're in the hospital with your newborn baby. Let me see what else. Another shout out. My husband is listening and he says all great info. Thank you, Nicole. Jenna was the work on last week's webinar. We love you, Jenna. Hey, right back at you. Right back at you. And then I think we're good. I think we're covering a lot.
So I just want you to go back to, I think it was Alan.
Let's go.
Wait.
There we go.
I'm very curious if that's Alan's profile picture because it looks an awful lot like General Mattis. But I can't, I do need new glasses just for the record.
Yeah, this is definitely what our teammate Alan looks like. He looks just like that. And hey, Sam.
Okay, shout out Sam for those who don't know, and I can say this with certainty because Sam and I are buddies on Facebook. Yes, this is like founder,
yes,
/CEO / the man, right? Like starting something from scratch is very, very difficult to do. There's a lot of evolutions. There's a lot of people involved. It's very difficult to do. But when you see what happens in fruition from starting something out to y'all just learned about Sandboxx, you see what it is, right? How applicable it is to our lives entirely. Yeah. Shout out to Sam and the rest of the team, obviously, because it's one team, one fight. By the way, congratulations on the new baby.
Oh, go Sam. And then Stacy, great question about the socials for Sandboxx. So Sandboxx has such a great social media presence. Where should they go check you out, Nicole?
So we are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. On Facebook, it's just /Sandboxx app, as well as Instagram. On Twitter, it's just Sandboxx. Or you could find us on sandboxx.us and go follow any of our social channels there, as well as just kind of learn more about what we do. Yeah.
Cool. And your YouTube page is great too. Just got to shout out that YouTube page.
Our YouTube page is fun. So if you are interested in YouTube as well, definitely make sure to check out our YouTube page. Yeah, Sam is amazing. I think one of the really great things is that if you were to ask anybody at Sandboxx, what's your favorite thing about, Sandboxx? And a lot of the times we talk about the mission, but it really makes a difference when you have a CEO who cares just as much about that mission as well as his team, to really just encourage us to push ourselves to do good by being good. That's kind of what we say a lot internally, and really just having him spearhead this whole drive behind just making our service members and the military community so much better. The community is small, and you kind of learn that after a while once you start meeting so many people and you realize how small the military community actually is. So I think to have an opportunity to really make this community a place that, not that we're not proud, but that we're all taking care of ourselves and each other, and really just making sure that we all have each other's back, and having companies like PCS Grades and Sandboxx to really support that journey, which is not an easy one by any means, is just so rewarding and so great. And so I'm so glad that Sam had this idea.
Nicole, I feel like our CEO at PCS Grades would be high-fiving and giving you a hug right now if he could, because Todd always talks about it's the military family that takes care of each other. Like that is the
Totally.
foundation of our company. Yeah. Amen. All right. I think it's prize time, MJ.
It
think
is.
it's
I am compiling the list of names, and just for the record, if you're catching this on the replay, I wanted to let you know that any questions, comments, concerns that you have will be addressed on the back end, because there's no getting rid of the people here. You know what I mean? Like so now Nicole and I and Nicole and of Sally, we're all like BFFs, and so we can reach out with any questions that we can't answer ourselves. Check it out.
Yes.
So let me go ahead and pull up this wheel of names, which, by the way, I just want to throw this up before I get there. It was General Patton, which I know when my husband gets home from work after watching this on his lunch break, he is going to roast me for not seeing that clearly. Yes, I love you, boo. Okay, so let's pull up that wheel of names. Where are we at? Share. And again, this is just a small peek into inside of MJ's brain, but it's all for you guys. It's all for you. All right, here we go. Do you guys see the screen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we are giving away 4 $50 exchange gift cards and 1 copy of Open Win by Liz Ann Lightfoot, our content editor here at PCS Grades. So first up, for the first $50 gift card,
Charmaine.
Yay!
Woo! Go Charmaine.
All
Charmaine, I
right.
gotta find the link for the book. And thank you for that drum roll, Charmaine, too.
Oh, I love it. See, we're just going to record your drum roll and infuse it into this segment.
Charmaine,
All
drop
right.
your book link in for the group, too, for us.
Next $50 exchange gift card goes to
Caitlin.
Caitlin Haviland. Shout out, Caitlin.
Awesome.
Congratulations. Okay. Next one up.
I need some maracas here. Or
That's
tambourine.
a fantastic idea. I wonder if we can incorporate that
Yes.
into our budget.
Branded ones.
Dustin!
Woo!
By the way, people, Dustin kept us apprised of her PCS journey Oconus over to Germany, she's now there and has been there for a month or so now. And so shout out, Dustin. Thank you for being on with us all those miles away. And the last $50 exchange gift card goes to...
And Stacy, you're right. Best time of year for a gift card.
Angela Atwood.
Yay.
Shout out, Angela. One of our diehard viewers. We see you. Okay, and now for the winner of Open Win. Lizanne, I hope you're watching.
Lizanne, aka the seasoned spouse, if y'all follow her page. That's incredible.
Speak of the devil.
Stacy.
Stacy Vance. Stacy Vance, we see you. And okay, so we have all of your names. I'm going to stop sharing so you guys don't have to see the crazy that is MJ's brain. You already get to see that live and in living color every week. No, we are very thankful for all of your feedback. And again, just like I said, Nicole, we're going to keep in touch with Nicole. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, maybe you just want to shout out Sandboxx, go ahead and let us know. We can get you in touch if needed. Otherwise, we can ask that question if we can't answer it for them. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on, because Sandboxx is a thing. And since I now know that this can be used during deployment, Juju B, my daughter who decided to join our club, if you're watching, we're going to go ahead and give this a shot, baby girl. Let's see what we can do for our pal overseas, would you? Angela, oh my God, you have no clue how much we can really use it right now. Well, PCS Grades and Sandboxx got your number.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And Sally, thanks for joining me again. I always really appreciate you coming on and hanging out with our audience because they're awesome, right?
Audience is incredible.
Next week, we do have tutor.com on.
Well, I'm so excited, MJ, because I know 2021 is coming to a close, but we've got tutor.com. Maureen is incredible. And then we also have Transcom, y'all, all your PCS questions.
Mark your calendars. We're going to be talking
Calendars.
about claims. We're going to be talking about different labor shortage stuff. We're going to be talking about the new transition over to Military One Source. Yes, we're going to be talking about all of those things. So have your questions at the ready for December the 8th at 1 p.m. Eastern time. And yes, so we're very, very much so looking forward to those. Join us as we do every week next week.
Oh,
But
MJ,
yeah,
MJ, I'm so sorry because you have such a beautiful sign off. We did announce the R Riveter winner. Did
my bad, because this
That's a great
particular
win.
winner
Another great
is actually also, she may not be watching right now, but she is an avid webinar watcher ordinarily. But our Riveter webinar that we had a couple weeks ago, we had another winner for a $250 gift card to our Riveter because there's a lot of damage you could do. And her name is Katya. She's out of Japan. Katya, shout out. I believe we already got with you to get that over to you. But congratulations, because again, our Riveter, I'm telling you, Nicole, if you don't know our Riveter, you need to. We all need a little R-Riv in our lives.
I know our Riveter very, very well. Big fan. Big
Shout
fan.
out. Shout out Cameron and Lisa. Shout out to their team. But yes, so super excited about that. Katya, congratulations. Join us next week with tutor.com on Wednesday. We're going to be doing it at 12:30 Eastern next week. So mark your calendars for that as well. And then to follow Transcom at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on December 8th. But until then, this too shall PCS. Bye, everybody.
Bye.